Before I had the opportunity to speak in boardrooms with multi-billionaires and get inspired and motivated one-on-one with people such as Richard Branson, I was an at-risk student. Before I had an opportunity to speak to hundreds and thousands of at-risk students, as a motivator, I was an at-risk student just like them with a dream. And that dream was to go to college. Get a big round of applause for all the college graduates who are here. Well, in order for me to go to college, I had to be ready, had to be empowered, and I had to be determined. But I wasn't 100% on readiness, I wasn't 100% on empowerment, and I wasn't 100% on determination. Readiness. There's a big problem today in today's schools, especially with minority students, failing tests over and over and over again. I'm a living testament. The first time I took my ACT test, I failed it. The second time I took my ACT test, I failed it. But the third time I took my ACT test, I failed it again. I love that part of the story. By a show of hands, how many people in this room have experienced failure in their life? We got one person who didn't raise their hand. Shame on you. Shame on you. When we experience failure, sometimes people say that we drop the ball. Sometimes we drop the ball when unexpected circumstances arise in our life. Sometimes we drop the ball. Once again, raise your hand if you've ever dropped the ball in life. Okay? Raise your hand if you rarely ever drop the ball. You're excellent. You do a great job. We got one person over here, one person over here. But, sometimes we have unexpected events where we drop the ball. In life, we drop the ball. We have unexpected events. Did you guys expect that? Did some people drop the ball? When we drop the ball, we need determination. Because when we drop the ball, we get discouraged. We feel like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't think I can make it. I felt the same way because I kept failing the ACT test over and over and over again. I wasn't ready, and I was somewhat determined. I said, I'll try it one more time. The first time I failed it, the second time I failed it, and the third time you got it this time. And guys, you know what? Even the fourth time, I failed it again. Some people are laughing at me. Oh my gosh. It's okay. Because I had people really laugh at me and tell me, Travis, you're not smart enough. Your mom makes $20,000 a year. Your dad didn't go to college. Neither did either your brothers or your sisters go to college and get master's degrees or doctorate degrees. I don't think you could do it either. You're a failure. You failed it the first time, second time, the third time. What makes you think you're going to pass it on the fourth time? Look at your track record. Look at your background. You're an African-American male. You have the lowest ACT scores in the nation. You can't make it. And I began to believe those stereotypes. Well, maybe I'll just get a job and just not try to go to college. Maybe I'll allow some of the generational curses of not going further than a high school education. I'll just accept it. This is my family. This is my life. And I'll just do that. But certain people get into our life. I call them empowerment people. And they help us stay empowered. They give us a sense of belonging. They give us a sense of worth and a sense of value. So, everybody, give me an E. Give me an M. P. O. W. E. R. M. E. N. T. Everybody say empowerment. That feels good. That feels good. Empowerment is so crucial in ensuring the success of at-risk students moving from at-risk to action in their life. Breaking the barriers of disbelief, breaking the barriers saying to myself, I can't make it, to saying I can make it. It takes one person in your life to make that difference. That one person for me was my uncle. Now, first of all, you guys may say, well, why is this guy sounding like he's cheering me on, like a cheerleader or something like that? You know, my uncle was a cheerleader. And some of you guys, ironically, even the men here, were a cheerleader at some point in time. Raise your hand, men, if you were a cheerleader at some point in time. Okay. Most of the guys are raising their hand. Some of them are not. Well, let me prove the guys who didn't raise their hand and prove you wrong. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown! Yeah! You were leading the cheer. You were being a cheer leader. You were leading the cheer of someone reaching their goal. And ironically, it was your favorite football team. But what if at-risk students had somebody who was leading the cheer? You failed the first time, you failed the second time, you failed the third time, and the fourth time, you failed again. Great cheerleaders, they stick with you no matter how many games you lose. You know, ask your favorite football team. No matter how many games they lose, the cheerleaders are always still there, cheering them on, cheering them on. My uncle was that person who kept cheering me on. Believe it or not, he called me Dr. Travis starting at 12 years old. I didn't like that. He's like, hey, Dr. Travis is coming. And my uncle actually was a pastor and a police officer. And he would let me come to the church, and he would always say, hey, guys, we got Dr. Travis coming up. He's going to do some things with the kids. And although it was something funny, I really felt like a doctor. I felt inspired. I felt a sense of value, a sense of worth. Hey, he's calling me a doctor. And although he was not my biological father, he was a surrogate father for me. Sometimes those key players in our life, those encouragement people, may not be our family members. And some of them may not even have the same skin color as us. They may not even have the same economic background as us. But they motivate us and they affirm us, they cheer us on. Here's another important concept. Think about this. In May 2017, or even in June, there will be hundreds and even thousands of high school graduates going to their graduation day, going to an arena, they're having their cap and their gown. And after the graduation ceremony, after the processional, there'll be people come up and say, I knew you could make it. All this time I was believing in you. But they were never there. See, certain people become cheerleaders once you have already reached your goal. They hop on the bandwagon once everybody else is on the bandwagon. Ironically, even some of these students' parents who were not there, they come out to the graduation and says, I'm so proud of you. You did it. And those students say, well, where were you when I failed the, and I wanted those new sneakers, right? But they're cheering you on. It's easy to cheer for an at-risk student or someone who's in transition and it doesn't seem like they're going to make it. It's easy to cheer for them once they reach their goal. Very easy. Think about the people who we cheer for once they have made it. My uncle didn't do that. He said, I'm going to cheer you on, Travis, no matter what you're going through. So he became a great cheerleader in my life. The second thing my uncle did was he became a great counselor. Now, I had some issues when I was in middle school and high school. I was actually fairly short, right? And so I ended up, ironically, getting into track, and I would love to do this particular relay, which was doing the high jump. So short guy trying to do the high jump. And they would always set this really nice high bar, and I would have to just run over to the side, do about a half semicircle, and then jump right on over and then lean back, right? So I remember one of my first track meets where I had an opportunity to do the high jump. Now, I could jump pretty high, but I had some people over here on the side. There were two guys, they were adult men, and they were laughing at me like, this guy really believes he's going to cross this bar. Look how short it is. They were just laughing. My uncle was over to the side. He was like, watch this. Watch this. He's like, Travis, don't focus on them. You can do it. Stay focused. And so, here I go, slow motion. I'm going around, and the bar is set is higher than my height. It looks like I'm not going to make it at all. It looks like it's too big for me. And I jump up, and I go right on over and lean back, and boom! They're like, oh my gosh, that was so cool, man, that was so cool. They became my cheerleaders. See, some people, they might not like you right now. They may second guess your ability, but I guarantee you, if you stay focused, they will become your cheerleaders as well. Is that all right? The second thing my uncle did, other than cheerleading, he did counseling. He began to listen to me, began to understand what was going on in my life. Not only you should speak into people's life and be a cheerleader, but you should be a counselor, a listener. Okay? Have effective listening skills. At-risk students, in order for them to go from at-risk to action, they need not only people to speak to them, but also people to listen to them. My uncle would listen in order to locate my different needs. You know, there were certain times where, guess what? We didn't have enough money to pay a light bill sometimes. But guess what? My uncle would listen. Not only listen, but locate things and guide me towards resources. Guide towards resources. This is really important, this concept of listening in order to locate, to point people towards resources, because I experienced that when I was a school counselor. Flashing forward into my life, I am in a master's program, and I'm learning how to become a school counselor. Oh yeah, out of the way. I'm learning how to become a school counselor, and my professor says, Travis, you have 15 minutes. For 14 minutes and 59 seconds, I did most of the talking. I did all the talking. And my professor says, hey, Travis. I said, look, did you see that? Did you see how good I did? Did you see that? She says, yeah, I saw that. It was terrible. What do you mean? Did you hear what I said to the student? She said, Travis, you did more talking than listening. She says, great counselors do more listening than talking. How can you locate their needs if you're doing more talking than they are? How can you point them in the right direction if you're doing more talking than they are? I learned a very important lesson during that day. And I began to understand why my uncle would even take time to just say, Travis, you can vent to me. If you need to scream, go ahead and scream. I'm just here to listen to you. Listening is a form of empowerment. My uncle had a busy schedule, but he cut out time just to listen to me. And it's so important that we take a little bit of time, whatever time we have left, just to listen to somebody. By him listening to me, he was able to understand some of the dangers that were about to occur in my life. I was an at-risk black male. I love hip-hop music. And I also got involved with hanging around drug dealers. I had one of my mentors he was a drug dealer, and I remember him teaching me how to sell crack cocaine. So imagine, I have a 17-year-old, who's consistently failing tests, failed state tests, failed an ACT test, doesn't really believe he can go to college, feels like he's dumb, and he's hanging around someone who's making thousands of dollars within a day. I really wanted to be like this particular person. It wasn't until I got to a point where I was pulled over by the police. Pistol in the car that didn't belong to me. Drugs. And the police officer found $5,000 in a rubber band. And my friend, who was the drug dealer, he got in handcuffs. But right before that, he gave me the $5,000. And he says, Travis, do not bail me out. I deserve this. And the police officer says, yep, you deserve this too. You're supposed to be in this car with him. This was a transition point in my life. I had an opportunity to go back home. Not everybody has that same opportunity. I had an opportunity to still pursue college and my dreams. Not every at-risk child has that opportunity. But what made the difference between me and the other at-risk students? What made the difference between me going from at-risk to action, from those students just being at-risk and accepting the label? That was the empowerment that I received from my uncle. See, if we had more people like my uncle, maybe less students, especially our at-risk black males, maybe less would be going into police cars right now. Maybe 10 less students, maybe 100 less students, and maybe even 1,000 less students. By having that one person in their life to pull them back from the different dangers. So by him listening to me, he knew I was getting around the wrong crowd. He says, Travis, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to take it up to another level. I've been your cheerleader, I've been your counselor, but now I'm going to be your coach. And coaching is different between cheerleading and counseling because coaches give you access to what they have. They let you wear their brand. They put you a part of their team. So after that experience, he gave me this key. And this was the key to the church. Dun, 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 dun. 17-year-old with the key to the church. What's going to happen now? I would go into the church and I started doing something ironic. I began to teach myself how to play the piano. I would teach myself note from note from note from note. And every time, ironically, this key says access. I had access to go into the church. Note from note from note. Black and white keys created the most color in my life. I had the ability to take black and white keys and create color. I could create something out of nothing. I began to listen to different songs and I could just play them in a matter of seconds. I could hear it. I began to tune my ear. And so my uncle asked my coach, he says, no matter what you're going through, Travis, you can come to the church and you can practice that piano. By me learning how to play the piano, it gave me a way of escape from being out in the streets. It gave me a way of escape if I wasn't doing too good in school at that particular time, or maybe I can play the piano and kind of get certain things off my mind. That skill expanded my mind. I had the ability to learn more in math class, learn more in English class, because my brain began to expand. My capacity began to stretch in order to receive information because of all of the cheerleading and the affirmation that I was getting and all of the counseling that I was getting of people listening to me. I became greater in my mind. I became greater in my heart. My heart became bigger. I began to receive more love, therefore I could give more love. I began to receive more information, therefore I could give out more information. So now I'm in the fourth quarter of this transition, and my uncle is coaching me. He says, okay, I know you don't have enough to pay for the ACT test. Come over to the house. I'm going to swipe my credit card, and I'm going to pay for the test. And that's what he did. Not only that, I know you don't have internet. Come over to my house. You can use my computer. And that's what he did. Great coaches, they provide you with access and resources. They let you wear their brand. They make you one of their own. He even called me his son. So, I'm taking my ACT test this time. My mind is stretched. I have a greater capacity. I have a lot more information. I have the heart. And I even wrote this song during this time before my last time I'm going to take this test, guys. It was called, I have the mind and the muscle, got the grind and the hustle, got the heart of a champion. Yeah, said I got the mind, muscle, grind, hustle, the heart of a champion. I can't stop until the casket drop. No, I won't stop until the casket drop. No. I wrote my own lyrics and I began to walk on my own words instead of the words of my friends, instead of the words of social media, instead of the words of the stereotypes of young black males trying to achieve the goal of getting into higher education. I walked on my own words in a very cool way. On the seventh time, guys, I passed the test. Woo! I passed the test. And when I passed the test, I remember calling my uncle. And I said, Uncle Rod, oh my gosh, here we go. I got the scholarship letter. I passed the test and I received an $80,000 scholarship. Room, books, board, and tuition paid for. The only thing I paid for was copies out of the copy machine. And we're still working on that right now. We're getting that squared away. I received that scholarship through David and Ann Hicks. I have a wonderful family who's continued to empower me. I had an opportunity through them to meet Richard Branson and get inspired by entrepreneurs and people who are visionaries, inspirational leaders. Once again, my mind began to stretch and my heart began to stretch. I began to receive more information and I began to receive more love from people. My readiness was increasing and my determination was increasing because my empowerment was increasing. People cheering for me, people counseling me, and also people coaching me, letting me wear their brand, saying you can be a part of me. This is my first billboard at the age of 20 years old with 3 students in whom I became a cheerleader, a counselor, and a coach for. They began to use the same skill of writing lyrics, and they created a song for the National Everglades where we actually had a chance to create the first rap video for the Everglades hanging out with alligators. And they gave us this awesome billboard as you see right here. And during that time, the students knew that they could write positive hip-hop music, write positive hip-hop narratives, because guess what? I had the opportunity to do it myself. My uncle even took it upon himself to expand, and we invested $10,000 and actually got a music studio in our church. So those same students had an opportunity when they had things going on that were dangerous, such as selling drugs or even getting involved in violence. They would come to the church and write music just like I did and had a safe place to go. By my uncle being an empowerment person, I became that person now. So what happens when you increase your empowerment, your readiness increases, your determination increases, and it overflows in the lives of others. This is why it's important for you to do the same for other people, because it can flow over into other people's lives. Here are my 2 beautiful twins, TJ and Bella. That's Bella on the left, TJ on the right, and here's Mr. and Mrs. Hicks. And not only I was able to empower students in my community, I was also be able to empower my own children as a father. I was able to tell them that they could be ready, empowered, and determined too, and give them the love and even provide for them like I really wanted to. Here's TJ and Bella, not only when I graduated from my bachelor's, but even when I graduated with my master's degree. And they actually, I have the hat on, but they wore the hat more than I did that day. And TJ and Bella are now having an opportunity, now that they're 6 years old, they're actually helping other students learn how to read, because they know how to read already, and they're helping other students get empowered. They're becoming cheerleaders, they're becoming counselors, and becoming coaches. So this doesn't just pertain to a certain age level. This doesn't just pertain to a certain type of demographic of skin color. This doesn't just pertain to your economic status. Everybody should play a part in empowering another person in your life. You could be a cheerleader, you could be a counselor, you can be a coach for anybody. Here's one of my new coaches in my life. This is the visionary behind the St. John's Town Center. His name is Paisley Boney. Paisley Boney put me in one of his articles and said he was inspired by me. See, when you become a cheerleader, a counselor, and a coach, other people say, I want to help you because you are helping other people. And this is the way life should be. Helping others so that other people will want to help you help other people. This is awesome. So how can you empower others? Well, think about that one person that's in your phone right now that you haven't been a great cheerleader for, counselor, or coach. You say, you know what, maybe I can give this person just a little more affirmation today. It may be somebody in your phone, you say, you know what, I want to listen to this person a little bit more to hear what they have going on. It may be an at-risk student in your neighborhood. If we can cheer for a football game, or we can be excited about things we see on TV, we can be excited about our students who are going to be the future of our nation and the future of our world. We want to begin to empower others because guess what? If we empower others, less people will drop the ball. Thank you so much. Enjoy this. Maybe one less person. Oh, see Carter! One less person will drop the ball. Thank you so much.